In my sophomore year of college, I had a roommate who was fond of saying, I refuse to allow academics to get in the way of my college education. And he really had a good point there, not to diminish anything that we can be taught in the classroom by a teacher, a professor. I know that many of us to this day look back fondly to one or more high school teachers, or elementary school teachers, or middle school teachers, or that college professor, or that university professor who really touched us and made an impact upon our lives. And we reflect back, even to this day, some of the things that they taught us, and just some of the things that they said. However, we also know that we cannot, unless we're a professional student, we cannot spend our lives in a classroom. And we're not really intended to do that. Because there are things, so many, many things, that we cannot learn in a classroom. And that indeed, if we would all be honest with ourselves, even as we are thankful for the preparation that was given to us within the context of the classroom, we have to admit that the greatest teacher of all is life itself. With the experiences that we go through, the circumstances that we face, the situations that we could not have never even dreamed that we would be facing at a certain time in our lives, well, here it is. And of course, as I talk about the word life, I actually mean the God, our God, who's behind all of life situations and circumstances. As Paul says, we do not lose heart. Even though our outer nature is wasting away, our inner nature is being renewed day by day. There are so many things that are encompassed in that phrase of our outer nature. Again, our bodies, our circumstances, the things that we depend upon to be there for us, other people. As we go through life, we begin to see that sometimes these things begin to diminish. And sometimes people we depended upon are no longer there for us for a variety of reasons. Our bodies begin to tire. We begin to lose some energy. The circumstances of life change, and we never predicted certain paths that our lives are beginning to take. We're always faced with that specter of discouragement and disillusion. Always there waiting to take advantage of us. These are just some of the things I think Paul had in mind when he talked about our outer nature wasting away, but then he says our inner nature. And that indeed life is a classroom. Every one of us is signed up for certain courses. Or maybe we didn't really sign up for the courses. But God knows what courses we need to take, and therefore has directed us that way. Paul says that the purpose of every lesson we learn, every situation we face, every set of circumstances that we go through is for the renewing of our inner nature. He goes on to say that this slight momentary affliction is preparing us for eternal weight of glory beyond all measure. Notice how Paul describes all the challenges, all the horrendous things that can happen to us in life, and believe me, we all know that life can become horrendous. And yet he describes all these things as slight, momentary afflictions. Slight, momentary afflictions. And that's because he is comparing the worst that could ever happen to us in life with the eternal glory that is waiting us. And compared to that glory, all the things that we may be going through now, they're only temporary. They're not going to last forever. Though it may seem that they're going to last forever. We can't see the end of the tunnel yet. And yet Paul is putting things in perspective for us and telling us that everything we go through is for the very purpose of getting our focus off of this present temporal world as our primary concern, and to get our focus where it truly belongs, and that is on eternity. Because it is for eternity that each and every one of us were made for. That is our destiny. That is our home, not this world. And so some of us right now may be going through some classes and courses that are rather light. Maybe life is good right now. But maybe some of us, others of us, are going through what we could call more advanced courses, where the requirements are very difficult, very rigorous. Sometimes you wonder if you're going to pass the course. Well, all sooner or later are going to have some of those advanced classes. But the good thing about all of it is that not only is Christ there to teach us, but he's also there to strengthen us and to help us through the course. And the ultimate purpose of everything is that eternal glory that Paul describes elsewhere in this way in his letter to the Romans. He says, we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. For those who he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that Christ, might be the firstborn within the Lord's family. What Paul is telling us is that behind every situation that we face, every course that we take, is the ultimate eternal purpose of molding us into the very image of Christ. That is God's ultimate and eternal meaning and purpose for each and every one of us. And everything that happens to us, whether it be good or bad, is intended for that eternal outcome. Now, so often we look at things and we categorize them as good or bad. But ultimately, according to God's wisdom and plan for us, I think we would be wiser if we would look at everything that happens to us, not so much as good or bad, but as a lesson to learn and an experience that is intended to mold us and bring us closer to the image of Christ. Yes, life is a classroom. We're all in this classroom. We're all going to school together. Some of us, like I said, are taking different courses. Some more advanced than others right now. But they're all for one purpose. And that purpose is to ultimately bring us into the glory of Christ. That is God's final purpose for us. And that is our ultimate destination and our final graduation. Again, this morning, I would like to read a poem that I think summarizes pretty much what I've been saying in these few comments of what Paul has written this morning that we read. It's a poem entitled The Loom of Time. Man's life is laid in the loom of time, the pattern he does not see. While the weavers work and the shuttles fly to the dawn of eternity. Some shuttles are filled with silver threads and some with threads of gold, but often but the darker hues are all that we may hold. But the weaver watches with skillful eye the shuttle fly to and fro, and sees the pattern so deftly wrought as a loom moves sure and slow. God surely planned the pattern, each thread, the dark and fair, is chosen by his master's skill and placed in the web with care. He only knows his beauty and guides the shuttles which hold the threads so unattractive as well as the threads of gold. Not to each loom is silent, and the shuttles cease to fly, shall God reveal the pattern and explain the reason why. The dark threads were as needful, and the weaver's skillful hand, as the thread of gold and silver in the pattern which he planned. They're all in God's story. He is the principal. He is the guide. He is the counselor, the guardian, the teacher. He's not going to let us fail. He is with us at every moment, guiding us and leading